Welcome back to my channel. It's Imran X Mindset, aka known as Glacier, helping you break down the icebergs of life. Now, I know it's been a very long time since you guys have heard my voice. I know it's been a while since I've posted on this channel. And the reason for my absence, I want to go into further depth in another video. The reason for my absence is something that inspired me, or I drew inspiration from, to want to make this video that I'm recording today. And I feel like this is probably the perfect video for me to return back to my channel. Setting boundaries. I feel like it starts off with asking yourself a few questions about it first. When setting boundaries, you gotta ask yourself, what are your priorities? What are things that you truly love to invest your time into? What are things that you have to spend more energy and effort really giving it your all? What do you accolade your time to the most? What matters to you the most? Now, I feel like the biggest problem that people have when they're unable to set boundaries is they have a lack of identity. They have a lack of who they are, and so because of it, they don't know what to say yes to and what to say no to. People that don't know themselves, they just kind of flow everywhere. They're with every group, but they're not consistent. They don't know the absolute thing that they want to do. They don't know what it is or how they're trying to be perceived. They don't have that concrete idea cemented in their brain of who is the person I'm trying to be in the future. That's why you even see with certain cases, like when they talk about bad boys really aren't even bad boys. They're just simply people who are so authentically themselves that it can come across as arrogant or smug. But if you know who you are, you should have no hesitation about wanting to turn some things down. And that's why bad boys are so respected. Because they know who they are. They're not somebody who's going to step out of things that are their comfort zone. They're not going to step out of things that they don't agree with. They're very quick to put somebody in line if what you're doing is not aligned with who they are. And that's why they are seen as attractive by the opposite sex. You gotta think about it. If a wife was looking for a protector for a family, I'll give you a scenario where, let's say this husband, he wanted to be nice. And when a manager asks, who can help with this workload? The nice husband said, of course I can. And the manager kept giving him work that it was starting to overflow with his life at home. Because he could never set that boundary, now he was starting to become distant from his family because, well, he has no time to go back home. All he does is work. And without even him realizing, he was hurting the family dynamic. You gotta learn how to say no when certain things come your way. That's why I feel like setting boundaries is also connected to having strong discipline. Having a strong self-discipline, in my personal opinion, is being able to be in certain environments, being able to be in certain areas, and still not falling into that temptation, still not falling into what desires your eyes may lay upon. The thing is, these nice guys, when they're in their room all the time, when they're by themselves, they never really get to go outside and experience the real world. And so it's like, imagine you're somebody who's just been saving all of this money and you go to the mall for the first time. You're going to see the tons and tons of merchandising, and if you're not strong enough, all it takes is them for to say, come here, and then next thing you know, they've just taken about 25% of your savings. You see the Louis store, the Gucci store, their presentation is something that really draws you in. You know, you got people that are in suits, people that greet you at the door. You see the way they're displaying everything, the marble floors. It puts you in this mindset of like, oh, by acquiring this, you're going to be associated with wealth. By acquiring this, you're going to acquire a certain social status. But it's just not true. You have to be able to go into these environments like the Gucci store, the Louis store, and still be able to say no. Know what your budget is, know what your limit is, know what you're working towards. Having the ability to say no is something that is so transformative in your life. Because once again, setting boundaries is connected to self-discipline. And to have strong self-discipline, you gotta have strong self-will. Because to say no to things that you want is something that is the hardest thing. Many people struggle with it. It's something that is not perfected. That's why there's books on books on books. Disciplining yourself is something that is always the hardest task. always the most difficult, because how do you say no to yourself? How do you give yourself certain restrictions for things that you want? It's easier when it's apparent because it's out of your control. But for example, if you're addicted to vaping and you see a vape on the table, do you have enough strength, enough self-will to say, I don't want to hit that. I don't want to smoke that. You gotta have strong willpower to reject the things that you see. Because sometimes many things are gonna come. You're gonna see many things. And just because you can get it doesn't mean that you should. Remember that. Just because you can get it doesn't mean that you should. With strong willpower and strong discipline, you have to be assertive, to stand on what you believe, to stand on the values that matter to yourself. That's why that self-identity is gonna be so important. It is okay to say no for self-improvement because you find that important to yourself. That is your value. It's your life. Why are you letting certain people determine what your priorities should be, where it should be ranked in your life? Because you're going to get pushback sometimes when you try to set your boundaries. You're going to get people that are going to try to test the limits, test the water, see how far it can go. And you have to be able to say no. To wrap it up, self-boundaries all comes down to knowing who you are and knowing by doing this it's going to lead me to where I want to go, or by doing this it's going to lead me to someplace I don't want to go. Is this going to be traction for my life that's going to help me gain the momentum, or is this going to be subtraction and take away from the person I'm trying to build to? At the end of the day, I ain't a preacher. I'm just a guy talking.